disorders are not a new issue, but we definitely hear more about them when a celebrity addresses them. So it's always a good time to check in and see how we can help those around us. So here to help us today is licensed mental health counselor Shantala Boss. Thank you so much for being here. And we were just talking about the Taylor Swift documentary. I know you've seen it.
Yes.
What did you take away from that moment that she was so open about eating disorders?
Well, her vulnerability and saying that it was a gradual thing that kind of snuck up on her. And really, you know, just with all of the expectations, whether they be positive or negative about her body, feeling like she had to uphold an expectation and feeling like that she was shamed if she didn't, and that kind of pressure that was on her. So I think that that was really good that she said, you know, it's gradual, it happens very quickly.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have seen patients before. I know I had friends growing up who went through all different types of eating disorders. You know, we hear about bulimia, we hear about anorexia, but when you think about a gradual eating disorder, I mean, I'm sure it can be from days to months to even years that people are going through something like this.
Exactly, it's not always visible, especially there's actually binge eating disorder is the most common in the US, and overeating for comfort, for, you know, to deal with unprocessed feelings or emotions, that's also an eating disorder. So we always think of something like a very thin young female having anorexia, but there are also disorders such as bulimia or binge eating, which are also extremely common. It actually affects about 30 million adults in the United States every year.
Wow, 30 million, and that's a lot of people. That's our friends, our family members. What are some of the signs that people should be looking out for?
Well, very restrictive eating patterns, or trying to get away from eating with other people, not wanting to be social when they're eating, hiding food, regularly counting calories, very obsessive behaviors, maybe hiding food, hoarding food, or finding things, wrappers in places that you wouldn't expect to find them. So it's unusual eating behaviors and an obsession with food and the inability to really eat in public very well, or be very concerned about those situations that you need to look for.
Yeah, I've seen people talk about separating their food on a plate and only eating it from one section at a time. Is that another idea of a warning sign?
That's more of a warning sign for anorexia, because that's definitely a sense of trying to control something. Because anorexia and eating disorders are a sense of trying to control something in a world where you feel out of control. So having your plate and just eating little bits at a time so that you don't have too much calorie intake. It's a very obsessive thing, but yes, definitely a sign.
And you mentioned this, and the ladies at the desk did too, but this is a problem for men too.
Yes.
And especially men who are under pressure, some of them bodybuilders, people who are weighing themselves constantly.
Yes, absolutely. Anything that becomes an obsession or repetitive concern or causes distress is a disorder, you know, and there's different levels of disorder. We think of anorexia as being, okay, this person could die from this. That's very serious. But there are also other ways that eating disorders can affect people emotionally. So really being aware of it, knowing the signs, and maybe when to get help, not waiting till the last minute when it gets so much worse that you need to possibly be hospitalized or to see a clinician.
And there are so many fad diets that will tell you you only can eat certain food types. When would you say it's not worth you know, buying into that fad, and it really could be dangerous to your health?
Well, a lot of what's important about dealing with an eating disorder and treating disorder is talking to a nutritionist as well. So as far as fad diets or all these things, it's really not about that. It's about a lifestyle. It's about nurturing your body, and there's so much information about taking care of yourself, eating what you're supposed to be, the healthy greens, those proteins. That's where something that you're going to have longevity in and be able to take care of yourself for the rest of your life, not just something that's a fad that you're going to do for a couple months and then end. So really learning about nutrition and just nurturing your body.
All right. Thank you so much for answering all those questions. I'm glad that it's back in the spotlight for the reason that many people won't feel alone any longer.
Thank you for having me.
Let's send it back to the ladies at the desk now.
All right. Thank you, Kirsten. Now let's look at the port.